A cattle rustler, cowboy, gambler, horse thief, outlaw, and murderer. Henry McCarty, better known as Billy the Kid, epitomizes the Wild West era. With at least 8 confirmed murders before his untimely death at only 21 years young, an orphan born in the Irish slums of New York City rose to become one of the most notorious figures of the Wild West. In the first episode of our Wild West season, we'll examine how Billy the Kid went from robbing Chinese laundromats to becoming one of the most sought-after gunslingers of the era. I'm Jake the Kid, and this is Laughs from the Past.
Jake the Kid with the intro there. This is Laughs from the Past, Season 8, Episode 1, and we are doing the Wild West. This episode was written by Noah Prince, who is helping us out this season. I believe some episodes, Jake, are going to be about an individual. Others will be about an event, all about the Wild West. You excited for this season?
I am. I'm excited for how excited you are. I know the Wild West, I won't say befuddles you to a degree, because that's not the right word, but it truly is so wild that it's kind of unbelievable that this happened, 150 years ago, something like that?
Yeah.
A little more, that this is how life went down. And yeah, I mean, I totally forgot. I watched Magnificent Seven this weekend, or no?
Hateful Eight?
I watched. No, it wasn't Hateful Eight. It was
Ridiculous
It's a
Six.
country. Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt. It's a Western. I feel like Magnificent's in there or Seven's in there.
Oh yeah, I remember.
So
I remember
could
that
get
Western.
I was doing some market research, so I didn't even realize. Magnificent Seven, yeah.
Yeah. Did you like that movie?
It was okay. I think, and I think tying it all together, they did it as kind of a traditional Western. Like, what's coming. They build up the big scene, and there's the good guy and the bad guy, and pretty much everyone's gonna die. But I think there's something to that in the acting realm that they appreciate, like a traditional Western. And that those actors kind of wanted to do that. So yeah, I liked it.
Nice. I like that movie. I think it was a little cookie cutter. So what you're saying too.
That's kind of what I was saying.
Yeah. But it was good. Not the best. I like Western movies.
Western. Yeah.
I really like Western expansion in that time period. I think it's insane. I think people moved away from the crowded cities just to be away from the law. Is the people that do that are the people that become like gunfighters and angry people. Right. They're like, I'm done with society. I'm going to go to the West and just live my life with no law. And then they run into trouble and they're like, holy shit. Billy the Kid. Do you know much about him besides just Billy the Kid, the Billy Joel song?
Not really. Again, it's kind of one of those weird things. Like you definitely hit this age of life and you've heard of Billy the Kid, but couldn't tell you anything about him.
I've when we drove cross country, we stopped in Nebraska, and I bought a book, and I read it the next day while we were driving. It was Billy the Kid book, and then I've watched some documentaries and some. There's like a podcast out there about him. Very interesting because I don't know what we're gonna read and what I'm gonna learn that's new and what I'm gonna learn that's old. But before we get into it, my opinion on Billy the Kid is he wasn't like. And I could be wrong. I'm don't, like, if you're a historian, don't get mad at me. But to me, from the snippets I remember, it's more he's like just a punk, insecure teenager who someone handed a gun rather than the Jesse James bank robbing badass, putting together plans and executing them type of outlaw.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit, and again, I'm coming in uninformed, but it's a little bit of only the good die young to a degree. Like Billy the Kid got out, well, not got out at the right time, but he did everything he did before age 21 in this kind of forming of the new America that was like, wow, you could be born in the slums of New York City and become Billy the Kid, the Western Wrangler guy. And you're right. I think the punk aspect comes from like he was scrawny and stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah. All right. We'll get right into it. Here we go. Little is known about Billy the Kid's early days, but he was most likely born Henry McCarty. Such a worse name than Billy the Kid.
Good Irish name.
You can understand why he changed it.
Yeah.
He was most likely born Henry McCarty in the Irish slums of New York City sometime in late 1859. Raised by a single mother, he moved to Wichita, Kansas as a boy before migrating west in the early 1870s, where he would spend the majority of his life in the New Mexico territory. At that time, Kansas was the Wild West, though, still. So, like, it's not like like Dodge City was in Kansas, and that was the fucking wildest of the Wild West. It was crazy. So
right before we started this, I had a pretty serious thought that like Wild West might be the worst area of time for me to be in. I think that might be my quickest death.
Yeah, you're probably just a fun drunk. Maybe you just a dancer. Towns needed entertainment, so you could go town to town putting on a dancing show or something like that.
Okay. There's hope.
There you go.
I just feel like I get shot real easy.
I don't think you had to be wanting to be in that mix. Like if you wanted to avoid the cowboys and the gunfighters and shit, you could.
But I also think I'd like pressure myself into that mix, and I think that's the problem.
That is the problem. You'd want to be a gambler.
I wouldn't want to be the guy laying under one of the porches while the shootout's going down.
Yeah, you'd also just be gambling a lot.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. All right.
Dead. Yep, dead.
Yeah, okay. As a youth, the kid was slender, had small hands, and was rather girlish looking. So because of this stature, he was a target for bullies and teasing. But what he lacked in size, he made up for in courage and quick minds. I have a picture of Billy the Kid I'm going to throw on the screen here. It's kind of the only one we have of him. And very unintimidating stature. Just like kind of like a out of shape, doughy, plump kid. And his face looks dumb. Now, granted, it's one picture. You can find a lot of one pictures of me. But he is posing. This is the look he wanted to give off in his one picture. Are you seeing what we're looking at here?
I am not. It's not on my screen.
Oh, interesting. That's a bummer.
Here
we go. It's my fault. There you go. See him?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, this is tough. It looks like a little modern day rodeo clown outfit.
It looks like it looks like a droopy clown.
I don't know. I think at the time it's not as bad. It hasn't aged well for sure.
All right. So he got bullied a lot for that. Well, I mean, at the time it was bad. He got bullied for it. That's what it just said. He got bullied for looking like a girl and having bad stature.
Right, but I think at this point when this picture was taken, I think this is kind of prime Billy the Kid.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. His first offense was stealing several pounds of butter from a rancher, which he turned around and sold to a merchant. It's just business. The county sheriff, Harvey H. Whitehill, found out, and after a tongue lashing, he let the kid go with a warning. That was really nice of him. I think they took pity on him because he was an orphan or whatever.
Flipping butter.
Man, how do you rob butter in that time? What do you carry it in?
Ooh. Yeah, how were they transporting the butter? Got to be in buckets, right?
Just
When was
buckets of.
the bucket invented?
I think there was definitely buckets in this time.
There was definitely buckets.
Um, I don't know.
I mean, everything was farm to table, right? We're not.
Yeah, I mean, they sold buckets to households, but how did he transport the butter? Is it like my wish with you, just holding sticks of butter in your hands?
I don't think so. I don't even think we got to sticks of butter at this point. I think we're living in buckets. I think you milk the cow or whatever, you
And you
stir it up,
churn
you
it,
make
yeah.
some butter,
Two
and then
mice.
you bring it to the butcher at the store.
All right, well, I skipped a paragraph here that says Henry quickly adopted to life in the rugged territory and he became fluent in Spanish.
Nice.
That's impressive. To move somewhere at 14 and just pick up Spanish?
Yes and no.
I
mean,
can't do that.
Again, the time period, dude. What if you couldn't watch your shows? What if you couldn't like listen to music? What if you couldn't really cook like you do? Like I think a 14-year-old John boy that was much more limited with activities, I think you'd learn Spanish pretty quickly.
I don't know. Baseball existed.
Like kind of.
Go play the baseball games.
Late 1870s?
Oh, yeah. So where was I? So his mother died of tuberculosis. Jeez.
Nailed it.
Leaving him an orphan at the age of 14. Left in the care of an absentee stepfather, the future gunslinger spent the next year living in foster homes and boarding houses. Before long, he fell in with a rough crowd and turned to petty crime and thievery. Ain't that how it goes?
Yeah.
Those boarding houses never been good, Jake.
Stuff happens, man.
So after the boarding houses, he's stealing butter. No idea how he's transporting the butter. We're kind of confused on that. If anyone can let us know, I'm interested. He gets let go with a warning. In 1875, he assisted a local street tough. Oh, that is a cool term. A local street tough?
What is it? We don't know what it is yet.
It's a local tough guy on the streets.
Oh, see, I thought it was a place. Like I've got no context yet. He runs into a ruffian.
Yeah, he assisted a local street tough known as Sombrero Jack. It's like
there we coolest. Go. I needed the Sombrero Jack.
A local street tough. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Sombrero Jack's not bad either.
No, it's great. It's perfect.
Nicknames have really lost their way in America.
All the good ones have been taken.
Yeah. So he assisted Sombrero Jack in stealing clothing from a Chinese laundry. Sombrero Jack had stolen a bundle of laundry from a Chinese launderer, and since the kid had no decent clothing, he gave the bundle to him. He was later caught by his landlord and turned into the sheriff. I mean, talk about different times, man. If you're going out being a thief today, butter and laundry probably don't rank in your top 200 things to steal.
Yeah, and again, it's Jake's theory of going back in time. I mean, when butter and clothes are that high up on the priority list, I mean, it just shows how different things were.
He needed the clothes. He didn't need the butter. He flipped the butter.
Well, that's an opinion. That's an opinion.
He probably ate some, right?
He had some butter.
Yeah, I think he ate. I think maybe he ate a bucket.
Not a whole bucket of butter.
That'd be disgusting.
Butter, and again, going back at the time, butter was probably pretty sweet, man. Think about the stuff you can put butter on to make it a little bit better, which back in the day, again, that's all you had. Like you throw a little butter on a steak or you throw a little butter on a piece of bread. I mean, that was like dessert.
Isn't butter's natural color not white? Or yellow?
I couldn't tell you the natural color. I lean yellow, but I don't know.
I remember reading that the natural color of butter is more like a brownish, like dark, gross look. They dye it that yellow to make it look more better. Because now I'm picturing him.
Butter has a natural pale yellow color that can range from yellow and white. I think it depends on the cow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess not. Maybe that was old wives' tale, I was told.
Old wives' tale got you with the brown butter.
Yeah. So his landlord catches him, and the Grant County Herald printed the story. It's believed that Henry was simply the tool of Sombrero Jack, who done the actual stealing whilst Henry done the hiding. Jack has since skinned out. So he just got used by Sombrero Jack. But if we're being honest, of course the local street tough was going to use Billy the Kid, the young orphan with a girlish figure.
If you think Sombrero Jack, if you meet anyone that goes by Sombrero and then their name, they're going to try to pull something past you.
Don't trust a guy that goes by Sombrero.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Sombrero Jake. That doesn't sound good.
No, nothing does with Jake.
Jake the Snake.
I mean, see, it doesn't sound good for me in that situation. You don't trust me off the bat with that.
Oh, I think of you as like a dangerous, like, guy.
Exactly.
Scary. Okay. It's good for a criminal, like Sombrero Jack.
Right, which again...
I mean, you don't trust a Sombrero Jack either.
There's a chance I could.
Yeah, that's how you get dead in the Wild
If
West.
they're friendly, yeah.
Okay. The crime only carried a minor sentence, but rather than face punishment, the wiry youth escaped the jailhouse by shimmying up a chimney. The kid then fled town and embarked on a career as a roving ranch hand, gambler, and gang member. Yeah, so the in other things that I've read, I believe the sheriff or the guy in town like felt bad because he knew the whole story, you know, and he knew this kid, but he was like, I have to keep you in jail.
Yeah.
And then he shimmied up the chimney and left. Now, when I think about that, because we got to be talking about like a one-story building here.
Yeah.
So the chimney's probably the second story, probably like a, you know what I mean? Like it's not like a crazy climb, I don't think.
No, I mean, it's just a matter of skinniness. And Billy the Kid at this point is probably weighing what? $120?
Yeah, he's 14.
Yeah, if that. So, and you know what? Part of me likes it. Part of me likes like, hey, you're a skinny kid, you made a mistake and you're willing to climb out the chimney. Yeah, go get out of here.
Because there's not even a big jail. It was just like he was being held, you know? So I think we're talking about like...
Maybe they baited him into it. Like maybe they didn't want to keep him in jail, but they were like, oh, let's put him in the cell with the chimney. He'll think about it. He'll learn his lesson, and then he'll climb out during the night.
Covered in coal, probably. That's cool.
Yeah.
So he shimmied out the chimney. Now we begin a life of crime. However, immediately after fleeing town, the kid found himself alone and homeless in the Arizona desert. How do you get all the way to Arizona? That's pretty cool. He had trouble finding work because of his youthfulness and slender build, which made people see him as unable to perform physical work. He would soon be dubbed the Kid by fellow gang members. He eventually hooked up with an ex-soldier, John Mackey, and a band of small-time rustlers. Mackey took the youngster under his wing and taught him how to make money without working.
American dream.
American dream right there, right? A lot of talk about his slender physique.
Billy the Kid.
He also was a kid. He's like 16 years old. The kid's time with Mackey and his gang is where he became known for his slippery nature with law enforcement. In February of 1877, he's 18 at this point, him and Mackey worked to steal army horses and rustle cattle near Fort Thomas. Now we're going up in the world. We went butter to clothes, army horses.
Army horses feels super aggressive.
Yeah, it's
that
almost
feels like
top
the
line.
one people you don't want to steal horses from.
I mean, it goes like army horses, banks, and then like lives.
Like the sheriff? Is the sheriff part of the army?
Maybe I think it's just army.
I don't think so. I'd put him probably third in my power rankings there of horses you shouldn't steal.
Oh yeah. I would just horses, money, lives. I think horses.
Oh.
That's what I was saying. Like, you know, Bank robbers are higher up than horse thieves.
Okay.
So, where was I? The kid was captured twice, but managed to escape both times. When he was arrested a third time, they hired local blacksmith Frank Windy Cahill to make a pair of shackles. Windy. Or
That's
windy?
when you know you made it, man. When they're bringing in the blacksmith to get a specially made thing for you not to escape jail, I mean, that's when your allure of Billy the Kid is really starting to form.
Yeah, you get really into your slenderness. You're like, the skinniness works. She stops eating, becomes anorexic.
Everyone needs a thing. That was his thing.
The kid and Cahill had already developed a bit of history, with Cahill taking pleasure in picking on the kid every time he saw him in town. In the saloon near Fort Grant, Cahill would throw Billy to the floor, ruffle his hair, slap his face, and humiliate him before the men in the saloon. Damn. Cahill, kind of a jerk face.
Yeah.
Not a cool guy. Cahill's shackles might have stopped. So that was the blacksmith used to do that?
Yeah.
Damn. The local bully is also the guy helping law enforcement keep you locked up?
Adds up.
So Cahill's shackles might have stopped some, but not the kid. He escaped again. How are you that bad at making shackles? Especially when it's a kid you bully all the time. You know how small he is. That's a
Billy
big
the
time.
Kid had that extra motivation. Like the blacksmith was probably chirping him the whole time. Oh, look what's going on now. I'm putting shackles on you, huh? And he didn't focus enough on keeping Billy locked in there.
They should have called a neutral shackle maker.
Right. They had someone too invested. It's the classic scene in the movie where, the villain could just kill the good guy and movie's over, but instead he starts talking. And I knew when this chase started that it would end up here with you and me. And you're just like, kill him, kill him, kill him. But nope. Got cocky.
Kill him. Oh, I think I have a picture of Frank Windy Cahill here. Oh, no. This says it's a picture of Billy the Kid. Wow. I'm going to save this. I'll show it to you later.
Okay.
It's a weird picture of him. Weird. All right. So he gets out of the shackles that Cahill made again. And he took the shackles with him. That's smart. What are we talking about with shackles here? Why would he take them with him?
I mean, I'm picturing metal, like anklets tied together, right?
Handcuffs of sorts.
Yeah.
So if I type in 1870 shackles, it's just handcuffs. They're just handcuffs. Like, they look pretty shitty.
But they brought in Frank Windy to make these especially for B2K.
Yeah, just so because he was so slim, they had to make him smaller. Yeah, but if you Google 1870 shackles, they're not impressive. They're like really small. So I don't even understand. Like, iron existed. Why don't you just make better shackles? You know what I'm saying? Look at these things.
1870s. Those are new technology.
Yeah. I'm not like that impressed that he escaped from them. I'm just unimpressed that that's what they thought was going to hold him.
Yeah.
All right. So he escapes. He takes the shackles with him. And in August of 1877, the Kid and Cahill would have their final run-in at a cantina. I don't know if Noah did this, whoever wrote this episode, but it says in parentheses, it says basically a Mexican bar.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cantina. I think everyone knows that, right? That'd be like discoteca and you're like a party. Anyway. Club. Cahill started immediately verbally abusing the kid when he walked in, calling him a pimp and threatening to bring him to jail himself. I mean, Cahill's got no room to talk shit here. He just escaped from your special made shackles, dude.
Is pimp an insult at this time? What's
I
that
guess,
mean?
I don't know. I have no idea what it would
Verbally
mean.
abuses him, calling him a pimp.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was, he definitely, like, Billy Kid definitely didn't have prostitutes that he was pimping out. I'm Googling pimp as an insult. Oh, okay. Someone asked why is pimp an insult in Tombstone, which is a Wild West movie about they shoot out at OK Corral. Because they were making money off other people's pleasures and not earning an honest living.
Okay.
So that's just what it meant back then.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Interesting that changed over time. So then Cahill called him a pimp and threatened to bring him to jail himself. But it's like, Cahill, dude, you lost. He escaped your shackles.
Yeah.
I don't think you can talk shit anymore. Lawman turned outlaw Gus Gilday would later recall his firsthand experience of the kid's first murder. Here it is. Cahill threw the youth on the floor. He sat on him and pinned his arms down to his knees, then started slapping his face. Billy worked his right arm free and managed to grab his .45. Then there was a deafening roar. Wendy slumped to the side as Kid squirmed free. I mean, listen, Billy the Kid killed a guy, and he's clearly a pimp. Cahill sounds rather dumb.
Set himself up for this.
Cahill poked the bear way too many times, you know?
It's all
Classic
you. I
quote.
mean, when you're pinned on the ground like that, getting bullied, that's a bad feeling. Never mind when it's a dude who made special shackles for you to be locked up with. In Wild Wild West, I mean, what Billy the Kid I wouldn't say is fair, but in the time period, it's fair.
Wow. Cahill should have seen it coming, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Dumb and dumb. After the Kid shot Cahill mortally in the stomach, he bolted out the door, mounted the nearest horse, and skinned out. As it turned out, the Kid rode off on a prized racehorse, but when he found another mount, he sent the valuable animal back to its owner. Now, do we think that was a good guy move, returning the prized racehorse? I don't think a good guy move. Maybe just like, oh shit, I don't want someone else coming after me because I stole their prized racehorse. Or maybe he didn't know it was a prized racehorse and just thought this horse is probably tired. Let me get another one.
Yeah, I think there's it's kind of the perfect play because you escape on a racehorse, which seems like the smart move, but also you send it back, which, hey, gets that one guy off your back, and now they don't know what kind of horse you're on, so you're kind of in the clear.
That's in the clear. Yeah, that's very smart move. You got to switch rides all the time.
Yeah, it's classic Italian job.
Despite previous abuse and Cahill being much larger and getting the upper hand in the fight, the shooting was considered unjustifiable by many who witnessed it. See, I don't get that because I think that shooting in the court of law in Florida today is legal, which I'm not agreeing with. But I'm just shocked that back then they were like, that was messed up. Like, isn't the Trayvon Martin case basically this?
Yeah, that gets a lot more tricky because that's like
racist.
police and race and stuff. But I think, if this plays out nowadays, no, Billy the Kid still gets in a lot of trouble because he shot a man with his gun.
But there's some element of self-defense and definitely not murder, but manslaughter or something like that. Murder in the second degree or third degree?
There's a self-defense thing if Cahill does come at him first. I think that happens in any case, but yeah, it's still not good.
Not good. Next chapter, The Kid and the Boys. In 1877, Perhaps in an effort to distance himself from the chaotic exit from the Arizona Territory, the Kid began referring to himself as William H. Bonney. Back in New Mexico, he began to look for work again. Here is where we begin the famous, violent, and final years of his life. What do you think about his new moniker, William H. Bonney?
William H. Bonney. I mean, for me, it's seeing if he comes across a Clyde, because would they be the first Bonnie and Clyde?
Yeah, I think so. But it's spelled a little different. It's spelled like the word Bonnie, like pretty, or like beautiful.
I'm not familiar with that word, but I'll take your word on it.
It's like from this era, like you looking very Bonnie, or my Bonnie queen is like pretty, handsome.
Urban Dictionary. A Bonnie is a brown-haired, hazel-eyed girl. Well, I think they were just trying to get some butt there, but sure, I'll take you on it.
Yeah. It's very like Irish, Scottish, English. Like the Bonnie Prince was the nickname of Charles Stewart, who was Scottish War and all that shit. So I think that's what he's playing off of. He's calling himself pretty.
That was Bonnie with an IE, right?
The Bonnie Prince?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, but spelling is like I doubt Billy the Kid spelled out his name. He just probably verbally said it.
Yeah. America still doesn't know how to spell.
Yeah. So that's a good name. I mean, he was
William H. Bonney.
What was his birth name?
Bill
McCarty?
Bonney.
Henry McCarty to William H. Bonney.
It's a glow up.
I'm fine with it. So with a murder rap hanging over him, the young fugitive hightailed it back to New Mexico, where he joined one of the most notorious gang of rustlers and killers in the Southwest. Their leader was Jesse Evans, and they called themselves the Boys. You know, basic plays sometimes.
Yeah, it works.
Jesse Evans and the Boys. Wow, Wikipedia just calls him Jesse Evans, the Jesse Evans gang. Which isn't.
Yeah, I mean, you roll into that town and you don't know the Boys, you're probably in for a bad time.
They were kids. Holy shit. Look at this picture, Jake. This picture is of Jesse Evans and the Boys, and I don't know if this is middle of crime or not, but they're like young kids.
Yeah.
And they're kind of holding each other's hands, which is weird.
Nice pose.
I mean, that's a nice brotherly pose, right?
Yeah.
It looks like they grew up and maybe they were a little older than this when they were like the bad guys.
Probably a little bit. I mean, kids and youth have so much energy that I don't know if there's enough of them in the Wild Wild West. Yeah, you kids run the town. I don't have time to deal with that.
I know. Remember we did a whole season on youth and history and like the Newsy Boys and stuff. Like a gang of kids is scary. Just walk around New York City at like 3:00. All right, we're gonna have at the end of this. I'm gonna do some picture time because I found some other pictures of Billy the Kid. Sure. There's like 2 known pictures of him in the world, or 3, so we'll look at them. So he rings into the Boys, the Kid and the Boys. That's kind of cool. John Kinney, also known as King of the Rustlers, coordinated the gang's rustling activities, and the Kid soon became an important piece in their operation. King of the Rustlers, huh?
King of the Rustlers, man.
The stolen cattle and horses were sold to those who didn't ask questions, and no one was willing to risk their lives to stop the rustlers. But with the riches came increased notoriety, and with the law finally cracking down on them, the gang eventually moved towards Lincoln County. We've been there.
Yeah. If the fuzz starts getting hot on you, you get out of town. It sounds like they had a nice run there.
In Lincoln County, the gang very quickly became allies with the county's dominating force, the Murphy and Dolan Company, led by Union Army veterans James Dolan and his business partner, Lawrence Murphy. The two already wielded a dominant economic and political hold over the area with the backing of the law and now the boys alike. So just running shit.
Yeah, so if you were kind of a badass, you could basically make a living off of that.
Do you hear the name James Dolan and just get tick in your head a little bit?
Yeah, I cringed a little bit. I'm interested to see where his story goes, but yeah, the name James Dolan will always have bad connotations for me.
Nice. Good shit. It seems like the kid had finally found some stability. He was a member of the strongest gang in the area, backed by the most influential businessmen of the area who simultaneously wielded power over the sheriff and deputies. What could go wrong? Any guesses?
I'm thinking something goes wrong here.
It's a good think.
I mean, what could go wrong normally means like that's never been said in a situation where nothing goes wrong.
No, it's not. You're right. Here's what went wrong, Jake. The next chapter is background to the Lincoln County War. Enter John Henry Tunstall and his business partner, Alexander McSween. It's a great name.
Strong.
Alex McSween. The two newcomers to the area had one objective: get rich. James Dolan was a feisty young businessman and wouldn't tolerate anything getting in his way, and most wouldn't dare to do so. But John Tunstall wasn't most people. In truth, he was a young, cocky newcomer who had a get-rich-quick scheme and believed he had the sophistication and brains to outwit Dolan. After Murphy fell ill and died, Dolan held complete control. Tunstall wrote his father about his plan. Oh, cool. We have his plan in writing?
Yeah.
It's convenient. This is what it said. Everything in New Mexico that pays at all is worked by a ring. There's the Indian ring, the Army ring, the political ring, the legal ring, the Roman Catholic ring, the cattle ring, the horse thieves ring, and a half dozen rings. It is necessary either to get into a ring or make one for yourself. I am at present at work making a ring. He goes on to write, I propose to confine my operations to Lincoln County, but I intend to handle it in such a way as to get half of every dollar that is made in the county by anyone. Not really a plan, a goal.
A goal. Yeah, it seems like he might already have a plan, but he's not saying it in this letter. And yeah, it's kind of the classic, the Office Space. Like, hey, if I just get a little bit from every transaction, I'm good. And I think it also relates to, I don't know, every mafia type movie you see. There's the Italian mafia, and there's the different mafia circles that control different things. And they were doing that in the Wild West too.
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of how it goes. If you want to move into a town and get in with a certain industry or whatever, there's people that are in control of that operation. But his plan is just, I'm going to build my own ring and get 50% of any money made in this town. It's like, well, how though? I want to know how.
He's going to be the ring.
Oh, he's going to be conglomerate ring.
He rings the rings.
This is what he looks like. So
Handsome.
Nice pose with the hand to the face there. Thinking. Nice chair he's sitting in. Nice suit. I got nothing against him. Well, let's see how this goes for him. So he's going to make a conglomerate ring. With his father's money, Tunstall and McSween started their own ranch, opened a town store, and quickly became a thorn in Dolan's side. Tunstall knew he was shaking a hornet's nest because he built his store like a fort and hired gunmen as ranch employees, so he was expecting trouble. Yeah, man. Come into town, buy a store, and just arm it right away? What the fuck's this guy doing?
Opening a town store. So we're starting to see part of the plan. We're gonna open a town store. We're gonna have our own ranch. And yeah, I mean, and something I don't know about the time period, but we're two dudes opening their own ranch. Was that a thing back in the day?
Yeah, you would, like, a lot of people would go to these towns to start a new life, and they would open a store of some sorts or a ranch. Yeah, just buy land and buy animals, and then, have a ranch.
Sure.
And then that was like a common plan. I think the fact that he's doing that as well as the store, and he's also arming the store before anyone threatened anything. He's got guys with guns there. So, bad luck. But Dolan was already having financial problems with the Murphy and Dolan Company, which was on the verge of going bankrupt. And now with Tunstall's competition and gaining support from some key locals, it was creating a huge threat to the struggling enterprise. He soon began sending the boys to terrorize Tunstall's business, having the kids steal prized racehorses from Tunstall's ranch. So, I mean, he was right to be armed then, right? There was, the other dude's immediate reaction was to steal from him. So, kind of makes the armed guards correct. Good call.
Yeah, armed guards were on point. And what was the standard operating procedure? Like, the kid steals a couple horses. Do they bring him to the next town, sell him immediately, and then
I think
away?
Or they probably have buyers in place. Like, hey, I'm gonna have this horse. I can get you some horses, and then you give them to them, and they leave right away. Something like that.
Okay,
I would guess. John Tunstall knew the kid was a member of Evans' gang, and after meeting the boy in confinement, instead of pressing charges... Oh, hold on. I've missed something. Backtrack, strike that, reverse it. So they steal this. Meanwhile, the boys and the kid were having their own internal friction. The kid's relationship with Jesse Evans was getting rocky, and some members of the gang didn't like having a kid tagging along, particularly Bill Morton, who bullied and kicked the kid out of camp one evening. As the story goes, the kid was getting too friendly with Morton's girl. One night, on a raid on Tunstall's ranch, the kid was caught and charged with the theft of Tunstall's horses and thrown in the town jail, which was nothing more than a hole in the ground. Easy to escape from, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's you gotta. This town's got to have a little better infrastructure.
Just a hole in the ground with a guy with a gun at top.
Yeah, it's tough.
But John Tunstall knew the kid was a member of Evans' gang, and after meeting the boy in confinement, instead of pressing charges, he offered the kid employment, tried to switch him, tried to flip him. It was either out of pity or plans to use him as a witness against the rustlers, or a little both. The kid knew he was no longer welcomed by the gang and had nowhere else to go, so he took Tunstall up on the offer. The kid was released from jail and hired on. I think so far, Billy the Kid's best skill is adaptability.
Yeah, absolutely.
He switches no loyalty, switches his plan on a dime.
He dedicated himself to this lifestyle, and that's how you got to be to survive.
So he was released from jail and hired to be part of Tunstall's crew. And this is when things began to erupt. On February 18th, 1878, my birthday, as the Tunstall group moved cattle through a canyon, they were attacked by a posse made up of both the boys and the local enforcement working under Dolan. Tunstall was shot and killed by the posse in cold blood. So hold on. The Tunstall group moved cattle through a canyon. Oh, so the boys and Dolan are together.
Right.
And Tunstall, and now Billy the Kid's with Tunstall.
Yep.
But now Tunstall's shot and killed by the posse in cold blood. and escaped before the kid and other members could catch them.
Yeah, so the boys kill Tunstall and they escape before the kid and the rest of the crew can kill them.
Okay, thank you. The following day, the kid was deputized alongside other members of Tunstall's crew by a sheriff who would not side with Dolan. They would form their own posse called the Regulators. Regulators is a very famous posse.
Famous band too. Warren G and the Regulators.
Oh, I don't even know.
I'm in on the Regulators.
Yeah, I don't even know the band. I just know that posse.
It was a clear blue night. Yeah, Regulators. Okay, I'm into that because that's kind of, hey, who are we? We just want to make sure things are regular.
Yeah, we're going to regulate this shit.
That's all we're doing. So Wild West, we just want to keep things regular.
The Regulators. So now the kid is a sheriff, or a deputy, which is insane.
Yeah.
You could deputize anyone in the Wild West. Real common move. Like,
yeah.
Wyatt Earp becomes, I'm sure we're going to do an episode on Wyatt Earp. He becomes, Marshall, and his buddy Doc Holliday, he needs help in a gunfight. You're like, boom, you're a deputy. You shoot someone, you're cool.
Yep.
So, pretty crazy. However, the law was now meaningless. Both sides had deputies and gang members alike supporting them, and this would now turn into an all-out war. Between February and July of 1878, the kid and the Regulators hunted members of the posse that killed Tunstall, catching and killing the boys' members Frank Baker and William Morton, and ambushing Sheriff Brady and his deputies. They were getting after it. Now we go on to the Battle of Lincoln. On the night of Sunday, July 14th, so we're a while away from the February 18th incident. Almost 6 months later, Regulators, now a group of 50 or 60 men, went to Lincoln and stationed themselves in the town among several buildings. Newly appointed Sheriff George Pepin sent sharpshooters to kill the Regulators. A shooting war broke out. McSween and the Regulators gathered inside the house. Deputy Sheriff Jack Long set fire to the building, and occupants began shooting. The kid and the other men fled the building when all rooms but one was burning. During the confusion, Alexander McSween was shot and killed by a deputy who was then shot and killed by the kid. Man, all out war.
Yeah, that's a scene, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Wild West, the big stories from Wild West I love them. They are crazy. For the next 2 years, the kid and the Regulators would toe the line between lawless and deputized, skirmishing with Dolan's posse. I mean, what was they're towing the line of lawless and deputized? I think they're just straight lawless. I don't think
that's
they're towing.
That's a hilarious sentence because look at the scene we just left. There's basically a war scene with a house being set on fire, 50 men versus however many sharpshooters George Pepin sent over there, which George Pepin, he sent a few guys. And then the next line is just like, and then the next 2 years, these guys would just keep skirmishing. And it's like, what?
Yeah. And I don't feel like they were towing the law. I think they were being straight lawless.
Like the night after the house was set on fire and they had a mini war, it was just like, well, back at it.
Yeah, here's a public disorderly.
Good move by them, huh?
They're just going around like doing law shit, giving out like fines for being drunk in public or, catching like breaking up fights in bars. Like, nah, you can't do that when you have a shootout in the middle of town.
Yeah.
One particularly legendary gunfight unfolded in January of 1880 at a New Mexico saloon. A drunk named Joe Grant was terrorizing the bar's patrons and threatening to kill someone before the night was out. Sensing trouble, the kid casually approached Grant and remarked, "That's a mighty nice looking 6-shooter you got," and asked to examine it. When Grant handed him his revolver, the kid quietly spun its cylinders so that its next shot would be an empty chamber, and handed it back. It proved to be a wise move. Later that evening, Grant pulled the same pistol on the kid and tried to shoot him in the back. When it didn't fire, the kid drew his own gun and shot Grant dead. What?
That's exhibit A of street smarts being better than book smarts.
Why didn't Billy the Kid just take all the bullets out of it?
I think you can't do that casually. Like, you can't take a guy's gun and just sneak the bullets out of it. But if you can rotate it one over so that it's the empty chamber, like, you've got the leg up.
Yeah.
If it gets to that point, which Billy thought it would, but he wasn't sure.
Crazy smart move.
Yeah.
These are the little shit from the Wild West stories I love. But, like, you know, how quick of a shot was it? Could he have just... Billy had to act quick. He had to hear that empty click and fucking respond.
Well, I mean, and think about Grant's surprise, too. That's like well, you don't hear this side of the argument a lot, but if you're going to shoot someone, that's every person's nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, Grant's kind of an idiot.
Yeah, Grant's a drunk.
Yeah, he was. He was a drunk guy. All right, so here's Billy's capture, escape,
Crazy
and
that
murder.
he gets a piece of history.
Dumb. You think there's a picture of him somewhere? It's too common.
Joe Grant still being talked about this day as the local drunk.
got.
That's a tough break, man.
Oh yeah, there's a whole True West magazine has a whole article on the tale of the empty chamber, Billy the Kid versus Joe Grant. There's no pictures of Joe Grant though. Damn. Oh, the tale of the empty chamber on truewest.com has like dialogue from the incident that there's no way they know this dialogue, you know?
Right.
But listen to it. It's kind of funny. So the kid steps up and says, "That's a beauty, Joe," and takes the pistol from Grant's hand, spins the cylinder, checking out the same much ammunition it contains, blah, blah. "Pard," says Grant as he sneers at the kid. "I'll kill a man quicker than you..." "Pard," said Grant as he sneers at the kid. "I'll kill a man quicker than you will for the whiskey." They're writing this dialogue, but there's like no one was taking notes at the bar. "What do you want to kill anybody for?" asked the kid, flashing his winning smile. Put up your pistol and let's drink." And then there's like a lot more dialogue here. "You've got the wrong pig by the ear, Joe," says the kid.
It's a good line.
Who wrote that? Anyway. On December 13th, 1880, Governor Wallace posted a $500, which is $12,000 in today, bounty for the kid's capture. The violence of the regulators couldn't be ignored anymore. Eventually, the kid would be captured and charged with Sheriff Brady's murder. According to legend, upon sentencing, the judge told Bonnie he was going to hang until he was dead, dead, dead. Bonnie's response was, "Well, you can go to hell, hell, hell." That's just really good.
It's just
really
good
stuff.
mocking someone.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Following his sentencing, the kid was moved to Lincoln, where he was held under guard on the top floor of the town courthouse. The kid asked to be taken outside to use the outhouse behind the courthouse. On their return to jail, the kid, who was walking ahead of Deputy James Bell up the stairs to his cell, hid around a blind corner, slipped out of his handcuffs, and beat Bell with the loose end of the cuffs. During the ensuing scuffle, the kid grabbed Bell's revolver and fatally shot him in the back as Bell tried to get away. This guy's fucking elusive.
Yeah, he's slippery, if nothing else.
I mean, he should be called Slippery Kid.
It's a kick returner.
Damn. The kid, with his legs still shackled, broke into the jail's armory and took Sheriff Garrett's loaded shotgun. Bonnie waited at the upstairs window for another deputy to respond to the gunshot that killed James Bell and called out to him, "Look up, old boy, and see what you get." When the deputy looked up, Bonnie shot and killed him with the sheriff's gun. After about an hour, Bonnie freed himself from the leg irons with an axe. He obtained a horse and rode out of town. According to some stories, he was singing as he left Lincoln. Nuts.
According to some stories, he was singing.
Yeah,
Other stories say no singing.
that means there was no singing. Just a little history trick. When it says like according to some, that means like, some people embellish the story.
Some people thought he was singing for sure.
While Bonnie was on the run, Governor Wallace placed a new $500 bounty on the fugitive's head. I mean, what the fuck, Governor Wall? Up the fucking bounty. He just killed 2 sheriffs.
I mean, and hey, maybe we'll run into this season, but were there any teams at this point that were like if the kid had a partner at this point that always brought him in and got the bounty, and then they just moved to another town, and then he'd be like, oh, I caught him again, give me the bounty, and then they could just, because that seems like a good business model. I'm
sure that worked. It's up to the kid, his confidence and his slipperiness, which is probably at an all-time high.
It's 15 out of 10 right now.
Yeah. So that would be a good play. You go get turn me in, I'll just escape, and we'll go do it again. Can't believe they didn't up the bounty. The kid spent several months hiding out on the frontier and taking refuge with sympathetic locals in Fort Sumner, New Mexico. He neglected to keep a low profile, however, and it wasn't long before Sheriff Pat Garrett and 2 deputies rode into town. On the night of July 14th, 1881, Garrett went to the home of rancher Pete Maxwell to question him about the outlaw's whereabouts. No sooner had he woken Maxwell than the kid also approached the house, having stopped nearby to get beef for a late dinner.
It's a good detail.
Did I get the beef? When he noticed the silhouette of one of Garrett's deputies on the porch, the kid drew his pistol and backed toward the building, shouting, Keeness! Keeness! Which means, who is this? As he entered Maxwell's darkened bedroom, he spotted the shadowy outline of Garrett and once again frantically yelled, Keeness! Upon recognizing the kid's voice, Sheriff Garrett drew his 6-shooter and fired off 2 rounds in his direction. 1 bullet struck the 21-year-old near his heart, killing him instantly. The residents were awakened by the gunfire and walked out into the plaza toward Maxwell's house upon learning that the kid was dead. Men were shaking their fists at Garrett and women were weeping as they were sympathetic to the kid. New Mexico's famous outlaw, Billy the Kid, aged 21, was dead, but his legend was born. His headstone would read, Billy the Kid, born November 23rd, 1860, killed July 14th, 1881, the boy bandit king. He died as he had lived. The boy bandit king. Wow.
Yeah, man, there's a weird... I did not expect the women to be weeping and the men shaking their fists as Billy the Kid died, but I guess there's like a celebrity factor there.
Yeah. And, a lot of these outlaws, they treat the locals nice. I mean, that's kind of a staple in being an outlaw. Because you want the locals to keep you hostage and side with you and shit,
I guess, yeah.
All right. I mean, you excited about Billy the Kid? Was that what you expected?
I don't know. It's just, again, the time period is so ridiculous that you got to put things into different concepts. Like Billy the Kid is probably probably the biggest celebrity this town's ever seen. So I think when you start putting things in those kind of terms, it's pretty wild. And yeah, I don't know. We got some good Rise of America stuff. And like you said, I think the adaptability is a big takeaway from Billy the Kid. Like, hey, just keep riding the wave and see where you land. And then I think his elusiveness, all-time elusiveness.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I mean, just slippery son of a bitch. We have a link here that says 5 facts about Billy the Kid. And, a lot of it we already went over. His legend says he killed 21 people, 1 for each year of his short life, which is awesome. Whoever came up with that as should go into marketing and branding. Yeah. But they say, we only know that he killed 4. and maybe 5. And then this says, contrary to popular belief, he wasn't left-handed.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is, I don't even understand.
That was in my head the whole time we were listening to this.
You were picturing, see, I was picturing as a righty, so I had it right. Yeah, wow.
Well, I just knew all the rumors.
Oh, so there's a famous pharaoh type of him that shows him wearing a gun belt with the holster on the left side. It was later discovered that the image had been reproduced incorrectly and flipped to show the mirror image of what it really was. So that's why they thought he was lefty. Some
the
people believe
image will mess with people.
Oh yeah,
till the end of time.
Some people believed he faked his own death.
I mean, that's just the story you have to tell around the campfire.
Many people, including some claiming to be Billy himself, had said Billy didn't actually die on July 14th in Fort Sumner, which is the official story. Many claim that Sheriff Pat Garrett didn't kill Billy, but actually helped him fake his death and happily ride off into the sunset. No evidence has ever been found to support this, though. I mean, everyone that dies, you have to say this.
Right. You have to create the old story. And I mean, has there ever been a case of this? Like, has anyone disappeared for like 30, 40 years who was Billy the Kid, and then they showed up into town and they're like, yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you always just hear that story.
So there was a lot of people that claimed to be Billy, including Ollie Brushy Bill Roberts, a man named John Miller. Brushy Bill started claiming to be Billy the Kid in 1949 and knew quite a few intimate details about Billy's life in the Lincoln Country War. But there were several gunfights he was pretty clueless about. And photo comparisons using sophisticated computer programs show the men to have completely different bone structures.
Yeah. Those early 1900s computers suck too. They're bad.
As for John Miller, his claims were basically put to rest in 2005 when his bones were disinterred and DNA samples were taken. They were compared to a blood sample thought to be Billy the Kid's, and there was no match. What the fuck? Who spent money and resources on that?
No idea. You got to be pretty bored and pretty wealthy.
You think that we have a match of Billy the Kid's DNA out there?
That's tough.
How could you say that with confidence?
I mean, did they dig up his grave or something?
I don't know. That's bizarre.
But
here's another. Again,
the whole point is that, that's not his body in the grave. So, where are you getting Billy the Kid's DNA?
Yeah. I'm trying to. I'm trying to show you this picture. A white shirt, dark waistcoat, and top hat. Okay. So look at this picture. This is supposed to be the second ever known picture of Billy the Kid. And I believe he's second on the left.
Yeah, middle left is what I was going to say.
I mean, that kind of looks like a fun time, right? Just playing cards.
Yeah, playing cards, big bottle of whiskey on the table. I mean, we've done this just without as many stylish hats.
We may have done it with some stylish hats at time.
Yeah, that's true. That's unfair to us.
Yeah, that was kind of. But it's candid photos from this era are cool.
I mean, do you think this was candid?
Maybe a stage candid. I just mean probably not candid because it's a whole big thing. But even stage candid is cooler than, the other picture we have of him, which he's kind of like standing.
We're seeing some growth in Billy in that picture. I mean, he looks like he figured out his vibe.
He's got you don't wear that top hat unless you are confident in yourself. And also the vest. Yeah, it's a much better picture than the other picture where he just kind of looked like a dweeb.
Everyone's got their signature looks, and it seems in this picture Billy was a lot more confident than young Billy we saw.
Yeah, I liked him. So my favorite thing about the Wild West and these stories that involve these people, and we'll probably get a lot on this season, is the little stories are sometimes so much better than the big stories. Like that emptying the chamber story was just a fucking tidbit.
Right.
And it's so cool.
Right.
And there's tons of stuff like that from books I've read and stuff like that. So I'm excited. That was Billy the Kid. Slippery son of a bitch.
Elusive.
Yeah. Thank you.
You know what's funny, though? At the end of this, we might be like, Billy the Kid was average elusiveness because everyone just escaped during this time period.
It's true.
Like, if you got held in prison, you were an idiot.
Almost. Or you just liked prison. You're kind of cool.
The one prison we heard details about said it was a hole in the ground.
There were big ones. There were like big prison yards. But yes, that was just a hole in the ground. But to be fair, I think you may be right. But also, shackles made just for him from a guy who hated him.
Yeah, that's a trump card of the time.
Climbing up a chimney. I think it might be like a 5-foot climb, but still, I think you may think of like a huge chimney, but I think it's a rather short one. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff. All right. This was episode 1, season 8. Thank you guys very much for listening. Rate, subscribe, review. We don't do that on this show a lot. We put all of these on YouTube. If you listen on the podcast app and you'd rather see the visuals we're talking about and see Jake and I as we're talking, and go subscribe to that channel on YouTube and share with all your friends. We've been putting a lot of work into this, and the people that like it love it, but we'd like it to grow a little more. So help us out. Appreciate you. Yeah. See you later. Bye.